shot.
Why?
He had my gun. This is a life or death situation, and I'm going to have to stop him from doing this. So I shot.
Did he stop when you shot?
He did not.
Travis McMichael there, one of the 3 men on trial for the death of Ahmaud Arbery in Brunswick, took the witness stand yesterday testifying in his own defense. Keitha Nelson joining us now live from Brunswick. Keitha McMichael, the first defense witness. We were listening to experts, our legal experts last night on First Coast News saying perhaps he handled himself pretty well there on the stand. What have you been hearing, Keitha?
Oh, well, I was just turning around because I was hearing voices behind me, just people walking through the area. It is very quiet out here right now, as you can imagine. It's only 6:30 in the morning, but in just a matter of hours, we're expecting things to really pick up here in Glynn County in front of that courthouse. A lot of demonstrators, pastors from all across the country. We'll get to that in a bit. Now, you mentioned Travis McMichael taking the stand. He was on the stand for 3 hours yesterday. We know that the prosecution is set to wrap up their questioning of Travis McMichael a little later on today. Now, also yesterday, defense attorneys asked the judge not to allow any mention of Travis allegedly using a racial slur while standing over Ahmaud's dead body, arguing they did not introduce character evidence for Arbery, and so the state also should not be able to. The judge has not ruled on that as yet. We are expecting to hear from him about that later on this morning. Now, the other big thing to note today, faith leaders, as I mentioned, from all across the nation, they're expected to converge here in front of the Glynn County Courthouse for a prayer vigil at noon. We're going to have more on that in a bit. First, though, we've got to get out to Renata DiGregorio. She is standing by for us live right now. She is on the side of the courthouse where we normally see the demonstrators gather throughout the day. Renata, let's get back to what happened inside of the courtroom yesterday with Travis McMichael. As Lou mentioned, we did hear from our First Coast News legal analyst about how Travis did on the stand. Exactly what were they saying about his presentation, what he had to say?
Yeah, Keitha, Travis McMichael was pretty calm during his testimony. At one point, he gets emotional. That's when he's talking about when he actually pulled the trigger and killed Ahmaud Arbery. He also testified that in his Coast Guard training, he learned that if you sometimes pull a gun on someone, it means they might back off.
He grabs the shotgun, and I believe I was struck on that first instance that we made contact.
What were you thinking at that moment?
I was thinking of my son. It sounds weird, but that was the first thing that hit me.
Now, all throughout his testimony, Wanda Cooper Jones, the mother of Ahmaud Arbery, also thinking of her son, she was in the courtroom. She was seen shaking her head during his testimony. She came out and spoke with reporters afterwards, explaining more about how difficult this is for her family and how she appreciates the support.
We need the encouragement. This is a very, very hard time for my family and I. And anybody who comes to lend, to give us strength and encouragement is much appreciated.
And we know there will be a lot of that out here today. Also this morning, Travis McMichael continues his testimony. Live in Brunswick, Renata DiGregorio, First Coast News, on your side.
Thanks for that, Renata. And looking ahead to what we're expecting to happen outside of the courthouse in just a few hours at about noon, we are expecting about 100 or so faith leaders from across the nation. We're talking about different races, different denominations. They are all expected to converge here in front of the Glynn County Courthouse. A prayer vigil is planned for noon, and then we're told there will be a march to the Satilla Shores neighborhood. That is where Ahmaud Arbery was shot and killed back in February of 2020. That march is set to happen at about 3 o'clock this afternoon. Now, some of the people in the crowd, I'm told, will be wearing T-shirts that read, "I am a black preacher." Now, this is obviously in direct response to defense attorney Kevin Goff's comments last week, saying he did not want to see any more black pastors in the courtroom. Goff believes people such as Al Sharpton in the courtroom could intimidate or sway jurors. He did apologize later on, but following that comment, the National Action Network took action, and now this. Here we are, just a few hours away from what will no doubt be the most active day, at least outside of the courthouse, that we have seen since this trial began began 5 weeks ago with jury selection. Now, on your side's Kaylee Tracy. She had a chance to speak one-on-one with civil rights leader Jesse Jackson ahead of today's gathering. Take a listen.
There's a white pastor in there, male, female, rabbis, and then black. That's his rules with his jury. I think the right crowd.
What was your reaction when he called you out by name, not once, not twice, but a few times this week?
Made me famous.
Now, the state, as Renata mentioned, will wrap up their questioning of Travis McMichael this morning. We are told that they are expecting to have 12 witnesses total, the defense. And then what we know will happen, according to the defense, is they are hoping to wrap up with their questioning by Friday and closing arguments by Monday. This is an updated timeline. Will that actually happen? We will wait and see. Now, the aim, we're told, is to have everything wrapped up by Thanksgiving. Folks, you can cover this trial for yourself. You can watch this trial for yourself, gavel to gavel. We're covering it for you all live. What you can do is go to our First Coast News app for live updates, of course, on firstcoastnews.com. Also, you can follow along on our digital channel 25.2 or Comcast channel 201. We will be here live throughout the day in Brunswick, bringing you the very latest details. For now, in Brunswick, I'm Keitha Nelson, First Coast News on your side.